Hello my friends, my name is Irvin, also known as Koboman. This is a continuation of Microsoft Azure platform. We're going to be learning new things today. In the previous video I've talked about on how to create different virtual machines on the Microsoft Azure platform, how to create them, how to configure them, and how to monitor them for different issues. Amongst other things that I've talked about in the video, it's really good idea to actually look at that and watch that first video in order to get a really good introduction of what Microsoft Azure is. As promised in that video, I'm going to continue with the second video that will be about storage accounts, and we're going to create file shares inside of that storage accounts, and then we're going to add those file shares into our virtual machines, which are going to appear as shared drives. So if you do tech support, you're familiar with shared drives, which is something that you would add to the user's computer in order for them to access it for storage. So again, I highly recommend that you watch the previous video as an introduction so that way you can follow along. Of course, I will have a pop-up link right here on the right hand side that you can simply follow, and at the end of this video. Alright guys, that being said, please take 1 second to like my video. That really makes a huge difference for me. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support on this. Alright guys, let's get into it. And here we are in our home page of Microsoft Azure. From here we can click storage accounts, but another way to find storage account is to click on the little hamburger icon and just go down and select storage accounts. So let's go ahead and click storage accounts, and we're going to create one. You already can see that I already have one, and that's related to the fact that you gotta have one in order to store your virtual machines or anything else that you create that requires taking up space or storage, right? So of course we're going to have a storage account already. But for this, we're going to create a special one just for file storage. So from here, we're going to click Add, and then we're going to create one. And the reason we're creating one is related to billing mostly. So Microsoft wants to know, what are you using things for? Just like we created different resource groups for our virtual machines, Microsoft wants us to create a separate group for the storage accounts. So it's kind of related to billing, so that way they know what that is used for, so that way they can bill you for it. Kind of similar to what we had in our virtual machines, the first thing that comes up is to select our subscription. And again, subscription is basically the subscription that we're using for the Microsoft Azure platform, a way to bill you basically, just like you have, for example, Netflix subscription or anything else. So you tell it, okay, I want to use this one. In our case, it's already selected. And then here we're going to select a resource group. As I mentioned in the previous video, every time you create a resource group, which is what we've done in the previous video, you want to make sure that everything else that you want it to be connected to that, you want to make sure you select the same one. And in the previous video, we created a group called Azure Tutorial. So we're going to select that. And just to kind of quickly overview why we're doing this, when you make sure that you're selecting the same resource group, you also make sure at the same time that you're putting everything on the same network. So with this way, it's going to make sure that that the network connections between all those virtual machines and the storage is also working, in the sense that they are on the same network. It's going to reduce the fact that you may need to configure different security settings, this and that. It kind of puts it in the same network. You will have connections to it, and that way you are good to go, especially when you create later on a sync storage, which basically what it does, it creates a backup of the storage that you're creating. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So you got to make sure that is in the same resource group. And in our sense, we're kind of concerned about same network so that there's connectivity. All right, we're good there. And now below, we can select storage account name. We can type it in. We're just going to call it new storage. And it doesn't like the caps, so we're just going to use lower letters. New storage is already taken. We're going to call it new storage 1. All right, we're going to name it something specific. I'm going to call it Azure Storage. Let's see if it likes that. Tutorial is already taken. All right. Well, let's just leave it at Azure Storage Toot. We're going to leave it at that. So, yeah, it's very picky, and which is pretty common, so that's good. So the next thing we're looking at is performance. It kind of depends on what you're looking at. If you want the standard performance, you can leave it at that. If you want the premium, you can certainly select that as well, depending on your business needs. But we're just going to keep it standard for the purpose of the tutorial, and that's going to be fine. And then we can click next here so you can see the networking. But if you just leave it at default, it should work fine. It says here public endpoint all networks. All networks meaning that all the network that you've created. You can leave it at that. And then if we click next advanced, you got different things that you can adjust. But as I've mentioned in my previous videos, I like to keep things simple so that way it's easier to follow. So we're just going to simply click review and create. All right, now it just says the deployment is complete. We can certainly click on go to resources and go to it right away. But what I want to do actually real quick is make sure that at least one of my virtual machines is turned on, so that way after we configure our file share, we can go inside of it and use PowerShell to add that access to the share that we create. So I'm going to click on the little hamburger icon. I'm going to go down to my virtual machines, and I'm going to make sure that at least one of them is running, and looks like my Windows Server 2019 is running, which is good. We're going to access that in a little bit here. All right, I'm going to go home here, and as you noticed in our home page, it gives you access to the most recent things that you've worked on. And here's our Azure Storage tutorial account. We're going to click on that. So from here, we're going to click on file shares. I'm going to make it simple. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to talk about anything else that it isn't a topic of this video. If you have special requests, please let me know. So we're going to simply click on file shares because that's what we're creating. I'm going to click a little file share button here, and on the right hand side, it's going to ask us for a name. So we're going to type in file share drive. And then right below it, it's super simple. I really like this. It gives you the ability to add the quota. So the size of the file share. So we're just going to make it 10 gigabytes. All right, we're going to go down here. I'm going to click create. And something very cool happens once you create it. It's very simple. It just kind of allocates shared space. It's going to be super fast, and it's already done. So we're going to click on that and see what's inside of that. All right, so with our file share drive selected, what we're going to do here is add a directory. So that way there's something in there. We're going to call it user storage. Going to click OK. So it's going to create just a folder called user storage. So that way, once we go in there, we're going to be able to see it once we connect to it. Then we're going to click connect. We're going to pick our J drive here so that way it comes up. Then we're going to click copy the clipboard. We're going to back to our Windows Server. We have PowerShell open and we have File Explorer open. You can see that there's no shared drive named J inside of it. So we're going to paste our script in there, and this is going to add, once it connects to it, it's going to add our J drive into it. So just kind of bear with me here in a moment. The virtual machine is kind of running slow. I'm not sure what's going on, but it will add it there eventually. So once it's done, I will show you that it did it. All right, so you saw that it was waiting for response, waiting for connection, and then verified the credentials, and then you can see that it added that J file share drive into here, and then it came up in our File Explorer right here, and it says, you can see that it says here 10 gigabytes. And if we go inside of it, we should be able to see that directory that we created. And from here, we can literally just put anything we want that we can create. I don't know, let's create a document, test, doc. All right. And then once we get out of it, in order to do this administration of it, if we go inside of user directory, we can see that test document that it came up. So as one of the last things I kind of wanted to show you that is really cool about these storage accounts is that you can actually monitor them just like those virtual machines that I showed you before. So let's go back to it, and then if you scroll down, we selected our Azure Storage Toot here. If you scroll down, you can monitor the its usage. So you can, just like with the virtual machines, you can monitor different usage and access at specific times and periods. All right. So why am I teaching you this? Well, obviously, so you can learn how to use it and how to administer Azure storage accounts. But there's another reason for implementing this type of shared drive is that, you can simply take that script if you want people to connect to it, and you can create that script. You can pass it on to people manually, or you can create the script and set it up in Active Directory for a certain group of people that work. For example, let's say you're in a business environment. There are 5 different groups. So let's say there is collections department. Let's say there is accounting department. Let's say there is a I don't know, some kind of a tech department, and they all are going to be in different groups in Active Directory. Well, you can set up a script, what they call a post logon script, that will add these type of shared drives to them automatically upon login. So you can use this script, you can implement it within Active Directory to run it for that specific group or even specific user if you want. But let's stick to the group. So let's say you want all collections department to have access to the specific storage that you've just created. So the way you would add it into Active Directory, you would set up the script. It's very simple, and every time they log in, it's going to run that script and make sure that they have that drive added. I mean, you can specify it in different ways. You don't have to use this specific script, but this is an option, and it would just happen. They would get this storage attached. They don't have to worry about trying to add it, the network drive or the shared drive themselves. All right, guys, I hope you like this video. Again, if you want to check out my intro, I highly recommend that. Thank you so much for watching. Please take a moment to like, share, and leave any comments that you may have. Thank you for watching, and you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.